Hello and welcome. This is Notibot ENG. I'm your presenter today. We have a breaking news recap for you tonight, focusing on the escalating tensions between Iran and the United States. Recent clashes in the Persian Gulf, Tehran's response to a proposed peace deal, and Washington's military actions are all part of a volatile situation that's gripping the world's attention. Tonight, we'll break down the latest developments and provide you with the key facts to understand what's happening. Let's dive right into our news summary. As tensions escalate between Iran and the U.S., a pivotal moment approaches for the Middle East, with a potential deal hanging precariously in the balance. Violence broke out in southern Lebanon on Friday as Israeli forces launched a series of airstrikes against the country, leaving at least 31 people dead. The attacks targeted areas near the border with Syria and Israel, including the city of Sidon. According to reports from Lebanon's national news agency, a rescue worker was among those killed in the strikes. The agency said that several buildings were also damaged, including a hospital and a residential area. The Israeli military has not commented directly on the attacks, but sources suggest they were carried out by the Israeli Air Force. Neighboring Syria was also affected, with several people injured in airstrikes near the border town of Quneitra. Lebanon's Prime Minister Najib Mikati has condemned the attacks, calling them aggression against his country. The incident is likely to further strain relations between Lebanon and Israel, which have been tense for years. This latest escalation comes as tensions remain high over a potential peace deal in the Middle East. The United States has expressed its expectation that Iran will respond to proposals for a regional peace agreement. Meanwhile, in the Gulf of Oman, there are reports of clashes between Iranian and U.S. forces. Details on this incident are still emerging. The violence in Lebanon is a stark reminder of the ongoing conflicts in the region. It also highlights the need for diplomatic efforts to bring an end to these tensions. The international community remains closely watching developments in the Middle East as they seek a peaceful resolution to the conflict. As tensions escalate between Iran and the U.S., a new crisis is unfolding in the Middle East, with Tehran's response to Trump's peace plan hanging in the balance. The situation in the Middle East has taken a turn for the worse as tensions between Iran and the U.S. continue to escalate. On Friday, the U.S. Navy struck two Iranian-flagged oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz, accusing them of breaking the American blockade. The move came after U.S. and Iranian forces exchanged fire overnight on Thursday. Iran has accused the U.S. of violating the ongoing ceasefire, which President Trump insists is still holding. However, with no response to the U.S.'s latest proposal for a peace deal yet announced, the future of negotiations hangs in the balance. U.S. officials were expecting a response as soon as Friday, but none was forthcoming by evening. Meanwhile, Vice President Mike Pence met with the Prime Minister of Qatar to discuss the peace process, and it appears that the Qatari government is working behind the scenes towards ending the war. However, an Iranian lawmaker has threatened an escalated military response to the ongoing U.S. naval blockade of Iranian ports. The situation matters because the Strait of Hormuz is a critical waterway through which nearly 20% of the world's oil passes. If the conflict escalates further, it could have significant implications for global energy markets and stability in the region. The U.S. has also announced a round of economic fury sanctions on Iran, aimed at choking off access to weapons and materials. With no clear end in sight to the conflict, it remains to be seen how the situation will unfold. As President Trump noted earlier today, he is waiting to see how the Iranian response plays out after receiving a letter supposedly overnight. The fate of the peace deal hangs precariously in the balance as tensions continue to rise. We now turn to a developing crisis in the Middle East, where tensions between Iran and the U.S. have escalated with a surge of violent incidents. Good evening, and welcome to tonight's news recap. We're bringing you live updates on the escalating tensions between Iran and the United States. A flare-up in the region has raised concerns about the potential for a wider conflict. According to reports, a U.S. Navy ship fired warning shots at two Iranian tankers in the Strait of Hormuz earlier today. The incident occurred just days after the seizure of the British oil tanker, the Liberian-flagged MS Jason, which Iran later released. Iran's Foreign Minister, Hossein Amir Abdollahian, has accused Washington of reckless and provocative actions that undermine diplomatic efforts to resolve the crisis. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has stated that the U.S. expects a response from Tehran by Friday, but so far, no comment has been made by Iranian officials. The incident comes as tensions between the two countries remain high following the killing of top Iranian military commander Qasem Soleimani in January. The U.S. had justified the strike as a necessary measure to deter future attacks on American interests. This development has sparked concerns about the safety of shipping lanes in the region and the potential for miscalculations that could draw in other countries. The United Nations Security Council has held emergency meetings to discuss the situation, but no consensus has been reached. As the situation continues to unfold, we'll keep you updated with the latest developments. For now, it's clear that Washington is taking a hard line against Iran, and Tehran is refusing to back down. The stakes are high, and the world watches anxiously as this crisis plays out. As tensions in the Middle East escalate, a new warning has been issued by Iran, prompting concerns about regional stability and global implications. In a warning shot across the bow for the international community, Iran has condemned recent U.S. actions in the Gulf and Strait of Hormuz as unlawful and urged caution against further escalation. According to Amir Saeed Iravani, Iran's ambassador to the United Nations, these military operations constitute a grave threat to regional stability and global peace. The controversy centers on two Iranian tankers that were allegedly attempting to breach a U.S. blockade of Iranian ports. The U.S. military has announced that American forces disabled the vessels, effectively preventing them from reaching their destinations. This move is part of a broader effort by Washington to pressure Tehran into reopening the Strait of Hormuz, a crucial waterway through which nearly 20% of the world's oil passes. The situation has sparked tensions between Iran and the U.S., with implications extending far beyond the Middle East. The Iranian envoy warned that the consequences of such military actions could be catastrophic and urged the UN to pressure Washington into complying with international law. He also made it clear that the United States would bear full responsibility for any fallout. The move has raised concerns among regional powers, including Saudi Arabia and the UAE, which have long been critical of Iranian influence in the Gulf. The international community is now watching closely as this situation unfolds, with many wondering what other actions Washington might take to pressure Tehran. Senator Marco Rubio is taking aim at China, alleging that certain entities are secretly supplying Iranian satellites to fuel Tehran's military ambitions overseas. The U.S. has imposed sanctions on Chinese entities accused of providing Iran with satellite imagery used in attacks against U.S. forces in the Middle East. According to U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, these sanctions also target Iran's overseas arms procurement networks and international companies alleged to have supplied raw materials for Tehran's missile and drone programs. The move is seen as a significant escalation in tensions between the U.S. and China over their relations with Iran. China has been accused of providing satellite imagery to Iran, which has been used to support attacks against U.S. forces in the region. The sanctions are also aimed at preventing Iran from rebuilding its nuclear and proliferation-related programs considered sensitive by the U.S. and its allies. The U.S. claims that these sanctions will help prevent Iran from acquiring sensitive technologies that could be used to develop nuclear weapons. The move is also seen as a demonstration of Washington's willingness to use unilateral action to pursue its interests in the Middle East. Rubio stated that the U.S. will use our unilateral sanctions to pursue any party that violates UN Security Council resolutions on Iran. The implications of this move are significant, particularly for China-Iran relations. China has been seeking to expand its influence in the Middle East and has been exploring ways to deepen its ties with Iran. The imposition of U.S. sanctions on Chinese entities could put pressure on Beijing to reassess its relationship with Tehran. That's all for tonight's news recap on the Iran war situation. We'll continue to bring you updates as more information becomes available. Thank you for watching. If you want to stay up to date with the latest news, please subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. We'll see you in the next video.